good evening, everyone. I just want to recognize the mayor and the other officials that came out tonight. We really appreciate you guys being here and being willing to answer questions and concerns.
Thank you.
We're just going to do a real quick training on the rent laws in New York State. How many people know about the rent laws? So a few hands up here or there. So the rent laws are based on something called the Emergency Tenant Protection Act. And basically what that says is that it's certain buildings in Nassau County, certain units in Nassau County are rent regulated. So when you get a 1-year lease or a 2-year lease, there's a board that meets that decides how much the landlord is able to raise your rent. So they call it rent stabilized because it limits what the landlord can raise. Now at the last Rent Guidelines Board, does anybody know what the Rent Guidelines Board decided for the leases that start in October, right? 0 for 1 year and 0 for 2 years. So no rent increases in rent stabilized units in Nassau County starting in October 2018, right? So that's a really big win. It shows that the people on the Rent Guideline Board understand that rent stabilized tenants have limited income to work with. They're going to have to make decisions whether they pay their rent or they get groceries or if they can get their kids' school supplies. They have to make those tough choices every week or every month. So it's good. The Rent Guideline Board understood well enough to make it 0 and 0 for the next round of leases. So that's great. But does the Emergency Tenant Protection Act cover everyone in Nassau County?
No.
No, right? Does it cover people in Suffolk County?
No.
Does it cover people upstate?
No.
No. So there's big portions, this is a state regulation, there's big portions of New York State where people can have their rent raised whatever the landlord decides. So we've been working with tenants in Ossining, New York, upstate, that are paying like $2,300 a month for a 1-bedroom. And are getting pushed out by high rents. And the units are in really bad shape and disrepair, and the landlords are not responsive. So this rent protection that limits the amount that your rent can go up is a really important thing for rent stabilized tenants. Are there any other problems that people know about with the Emergency Tenant Protection Act? Are there any? I know Gene knows one major problem. So what's the problem that you were talking about before, Gene?
A young lady came to me last week. I called from there because I couldn't believe it. She has an EPTA rent, lease. And the landlord somehow or another got preferential rent into it. I don't know what it is. I've never seen it before.
So has anybody heard of preferential rent before? So preferential rent is one of the major loopholes in the rent laws, the protections. Because what they do is they come to you with a lease, and it's got a really nice number there that you pay, and you say, wow, this is great. I can afford this apartment. I can afford this amount every month. This is awesome. But what they don't tell you is that that's not a regulated unit anymore. So next time your lease is renewed, you're in the same boat as everyone else that's not in a rent stabilized unit. They can raise your rent whatever they want. So that's one major loophole. Another loophole, does anybody know what the other loophole is?
The landlords get eviction bonuses when they put you out your apartment.
And what's the eviction bonus amount?
I believe 20%.
So the landlords, when they put you out and evict you, they can raise the rent 20%. So it incentivizes evictions. The landlords can actually make more money by evicting you than by keeping you in the apartment. And it's another step towards destabilizing and deregulating the apartment. Just let us finish this, and then we're going to have a bunch of time to talk. Caprice, okay?
There's another one. Also, they're saying fair market value.
So fair market value.
So they go, oh, I'm going to go up on your rent because I'm getting fair market value. So they go up on your rent based on fair market value.
Yeah. So, and there's...
Does that apply to senior citizen apartments?
So senior citizens usually are regulated under different regulations. Okay. The way that they're all connected is people that have HUD, people that have Section 8, people that are seniors, they all struggle because they have limited money to pay the rent, right? And they all struggle when the landlords raise the rent. So the rent protections are great for the people that are in those units. But like I said, they leave a lot of places open. So we know like Valley Stream and Westbury, they could be covered by EPTA, but they're not. They don't have units that are covered there. So those people are going to struggle with rent. Suffolk County doesn't have EPTA. So people in Suffolk County are really struggling to make sure that they're able to afford to pay their rent. So there's a big push around New York State to do something about these rent laws. Why is this a good time to put pressure statewide in New York State to get stuff done? We have a governor named Cuomo, right?
Yes.
When is Governor Cuomo up for re-election? I think it's 2018, right? So do you think Governor Cuomo wants to win by just a little margin? Or does he want to win big? Does he want to win big in upstate and win big downstate and win big everywhere? So it's possible that he would look to tenants as a constituent that could really give him a good victory. So there may be some flexibility. He's running for election. When people are running for election, you guys know that's when they come knock on your door, right? That's when they come talk to you because they want your vote. So we have a little bit of leverage with Governor Cuomo. What's happening in 2020 on the national level?
The presidential
A presidential election. And I think that Governor Cuomo has thrown out hints that he's interested in maybe going for that job as well.
That's right.
I'm sure.
So what are some of the ways that we can take the power that we have as tenants together and put pressure on Governor Cuomo to close the loopholes and to expand the rent laws?
Write letters?
We've been fighting with him for years, okay? And the thing is, Governor Cuomo was a lawyer for the owner of the 59600 building. He was the lawyer. His father was the governor at the time, which we wrote to Governor Cuomo, the father, asking him to intervene, and he said he couldn't because it was in litigation. We had it in court, and we did win, but the thing is, I wrote him back and said, is it because your son is the landlord's lawyer? He
So-
said that he would not, comment on it anymore.
So who gives Governor Cuomo a lot of the money that he uses for his elections?
Taxpayer.
Taxpayers? Hedge fund owners? What about, has anybody ever heard of REBNY? The real estate brokers, New York? So they give Governor Cuomo a lot of money. I don't know about you guys, I don't have a lot of money. Do we have a lot of money in this room? So is our power is not going to come from going up against developers spending dollar for dollar, right? But they used to say vote with your feet, right? So we can still vote with our feet. We still have some power together as a group. The good news is the tenants upstate that don't have those protections, they're mad that they don't have those protections. They want.
But they're not being treated like the people down here that's paying money. And this is the thing that really bothers me because there's a lot of people in here right now probably that's not even the same situation as me. And there's a lot of homeowners in this town and people that are spending their money or whatever, and they're being treated worse than the people that are not. This is the only discrepancy, because I'm pretty sure that the people here that are paying their money and everything and their dues and their titles, they're paying it. They're not disagreeing with that because, you have to do what you have to do. But I mean, it's the respect. It's the, I don't see it. Now, my name is Danita, and the reason why I really am here today, I'm losing my Section 8 tomorrow. Okay, and I got granted traveling Section 8 through to, I live at Bedell Terrace, Charles Davis or whoever the owners are, I never met them. I live Bedell Terrace, 119, and I was granted traveling Section 8, and I really don't even want to, because cameras or whatever, but I was, due to domestic violence, whatever. Tomorrow, I'm losing it.
Why?
Because I didn't find, housing in time, okay, in my time limit, okay, understandable. I reached out for help. I said, listen, I think I'm, racial profiling. I done looked at 2 places. I went to, Floral Park, everywhere. Now, what I don't understand is, I'm a lifelong Hempstead resident. I'm being forced to move out of Hempstead to go somewhere else to find something. Not a problem. Hey, that's where I may need to go. Okay? But now, tomorrow, on the 6th, being that I haven't found nothing in the 6th, I still am gonna live on Terrace Avenue at 119, and Section 8 is still gonna pay my rent there? So it's almost an oxymoron to me. You took away something that you gave to me because I was in a very, and I mean, if I could sit here and give my testimony, it'd be crazy. But right now, this is my first time coming to one of these meetings. And I mean, I just walked up. I actually went to Don Ryan's office right here, next door, and I asked the man, and he was closing up the office, and I wish he was here now. Because I asked him where the meeting was, and do you know he told me he didn't know where it was? I just walked at 5:30 to town hall. We pulled the doors, and the light was on, but nobody was there. I was like, oh my God. What was today? I had to meet somebody at the store right here that said his mother was coming here. And he called his mom to tell me it was here. So now I just need understanding. That's it.
So there's a lot of complex stuff going on with housing, right? That doesn't sound like it falls exactly into the rent laws. The Section 8 vouchers, it's a really difficult thing. Because there's not affordable housing to find. People don't want to take your voucher, and then if you don't get it in time, you lose your voucher. So it's a bad system. We're going to do some question and issue time, and then maybe someone will be able to give you some clearance what the next step is to go, okay? So let's come back to that in just a couple more minutes. So yeah, basically, we want, if you remember when we did the Fight for 15 with Governor Cuomo, if anyone was involved with that, if you guys are union members, but it was the fight for the $15 minimum wage. And what they used to say was the decisions in New York State are made by 3 men in a room. Now, not all 3 of those men are left anymore at this point, because of indictments and whatnot. But basically, I think the moral of the story is still, if Governor Cuomo decides that it's something he wants to get done, and he really wants to do it, he will find a way to make it happen. So we need to figure out a way to put pressure on Governor Cuomo so this becomes something that he wants to do. There are groups of tenants from all around New York State, from the places that are covered with EPTA in the city and on Long Island, and people that are not covered on Long Island and upstate. And we're strategizing and building a statewide, we did an action at the State of the State to highlight the homeless crisis in New York State that's happened under Governor Cuomo's watch. And we are really making this a huge campaign to push to get these rent laws. The other thing is they expire in 2019. So we're on sort of a clock. So we want you guys to be thinking about this. It's awesome. There's a lot of power in this room of us all being together. And if you are, we have some petitions that are going to be going around, or someone will be out the door on the way out, that are calling on Governor Cuomo to expand the EPTA and close the loopholes. And we are going to be having meetings and getting people together. So let's continue to talk about that, and we can work on that issue together. So that's the end of the rent laws training part.
Question, Ben.
1 second, Wanda.
Did you know that his office is on 3rd Avenue, somewhere in Manhattan?
Governor Cuomo, yeah, we camped out there last year, so we do actually. So we talked about a lot of issues at the last tenant town hall. But I also wanted to give a tenant in Hempstead, one of the presidents of the tenant association, a few minutes to just talk about some good things that are happening in his building. So, David Lofton, if you'd be willing to come up and just talk.
Good evening, everyone that don't know me. My name is Dave Lofton. I'm also a member with NYCC. And I'm the president of the Tenant Association at 151, I'm sorry, that's 251 Jackson and 150 West Columbia. All right? Thanks to the mayor and his staff, we have an organization over here that, unlike the rest of you guys may have, we fight everything the landlord do. I don't care what it is, I'm writing it up. We have somebody to listen to us. We have the mayor and his staff. We have the building department. We're going to use them. We pay them to work for us, and we're going to use them. Every time something happens to your building, go to the building department. That's what they're there for. Go to the mayor if you have to. But first thing, go to the building department. If they don't do what you say do, then we'll write them up with NYCC. All right? In my building since 2014, I got about 75 people on a rent freeze. They can't raise the rent. Never. They took out community room. They took out community room. They were so money hungry, they turned and made 2 apartments out of it. So he don't care about the 75 people that's on the rent freeze. He's making it up on 2 of those buildings, 2 of those apartments. He's getting over $2,000 a piece. He don't care about the people that's not on there. We got other people coming in and paying what they want. Like Ben was saying before, we got a 0% rent freeze this year. He's still charging these people rent. Every time I look around, somebody knocking on the door, the landlord is raising their rent. We got a 0% rent increase, but he still raised it. I said, well, are you on the rent freeze? No. People don't come to the meeting. That's right. If you don't sign your name on there, you know, it has to be documented. So nobody comes. The landlord is robbing you blind and you hiding from him. You got it backwards. You got it backwards. You stealing from me, you hide from me. We hiding from the landlord and he's stealing us blind. We got somebody listening to us, and I want all of you, if you got some beef or complaint, talk while we got somebody to listen. Please talk. Thanks to Charles Winfro, we see a lot of success over there. We see a lot of all the things we've been complaining about. They don't fix them. They say they fix them. Just today they say they didn't fix the parking lot, they didn't fix the gate, they didn't fix the intercom. I just walked out of there and got stuck out there. I said, wait, did you guys see something wrong with the door? You came out behind me. Yeah, it ain't fixed. I said, well, they say it's fixed. But we got a building department over there. Let's use them.
That's right.
All right? Thank you, guys. Thank you.
So we want to give you guys a chance to talk. I'm sure you're all sick of hearing my voice at this point in time. And we have some officials from the village here. So I would just encourage them, if you hear a concern or a question that you know the answer to, don't hesitate to just jump up and jump right in. I think a lot of times there are things that we just don't know where to go for certain issues, right? So we want to also make sure everybody knows what to do if there's a water break in your building, and what to do if your building has no heat, and what procedures to follow to make sure that you're getting the help you need. With that being said, I'm going to be quiet. We have one question back there.
Good evening. I have a question. Let's see how I can explain it. If you live in a HUD subsidized apartment, is there a guideline of your income that you have to make in order to live in a HUD subsidized apartment? Is there a guideline?
Yes,
If you make too much money over the guideline, can they put you out? That's the question I'm asking. Yeah, it is. It's just like if you move in. It's like just like you have to have a guideline to rent. If you make too much money to get an apartment, they won't let you in because you're making too much money. So the same question I'm asking, if you're in there already and you're making too much income, can they put you out?
I believe that's when they recertify you.
I can't hear you. Sorry.
When they recertify you, they look at your income again, and that's when they decide.
Right, they decide whether they're gonna let you stay or put you out?
That's correct.
Well, that's all right.
I guess it really depends on
Sometimes
what
it may be a good thing because sometimes in subsidized housing, when you do start to make a certain amount, it does play a big, you pay a lot of, you pay a lot of money.
You can't pay over the guideline though. You can't pay over the, according
there
to
a
what
limit?
my understanding from the contract, you cannot pay over the guideline of the housing total. Other words, if the market rate, let's say it's $1,500, okay? You cannot pay over that $1,500 over the guideline of the market rate.
What happens is when you live in HUD-based buildings, so that's Park Lake residence, where you reside at, okay? Or Jerusalem, 110, 130 Jerusalem, 100 Terrace, the 119 of Adele. You know, if you're giving your apartment, I'll let you know if it's HUD-based, or I'll let you know if it's rent stabilized. I know all of the different units. But what happens is it goes by 30% of your monthly gross income. And there you have it. That's HUD guidelines. And if the income exceeds, they can charge you that legal, you know, regulated rent. They can go up because it goes by 30% of your monthly gross income of all of the incomes that's inside of the house, the family composition size.
See, I'm not worried about them going up. I'm asking a question. Can they put you out if you make over the guidelines?
Not that they can put you out, you gotta pay your rent, but they can charge you that amount. They can only charge you. Absolutely.
Say that again?
So let's just say the rent is $1,500, okay? You would just have to pay, if you exceed that 30% of that monthly gross income, you would just have to pay the amount that they're stipulating that you have to pay. So let's just say with your income in the house, if there's 2 incomes there, and it came to $1,200, you have to pay the $1,200 in Section 8. Not Section 8, but it's HUD-based. They would pick up the other remaining, that $300. You follow what I'm saying? But that has nothing to do with eviction.
Okay, so then, all right, thank you. But there's one more question.
Sure.
I'm gonna come out and say this. I have a problem with this back pay. We never had a such thing as back pay. What I mean by that, if you do for your certification, let's say in July, and you go down there in time to be recertified, but you don't get called down there in time for your new rent increase. And now all of a sudden they say, well, you gotta pay the back pay for the 2 months. That's not right.
Did Judy send out a letter? Ms. Thomas send out a letter?
It's not right. You can't, according to the contract, they say they give you a 30-day, you're supposed to have a 30-day notice of a new rent increase. I read the whole thing to make sure I was right. They're supposed to give you a 30-day notice of any new rent increase. But if you don't get a 30-day notice, and then they call you down there after the fact, and then hit you all of a sudden, guess what? You got 2 months back pay you have to pay. It's not right. And you stuck paying.
The thing is, she had to, well, that's relying on realty. They have to abide by the HUD guidelines.
Exactly. Okay?
Maybe me and you need to speak afterwards and we can sit down and I can talk to you and I can speak to Judy.
No problem.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about the HUD guidelines and as far as children's income?
Yes.
Are they allowed to use your child's income?
Everyone's income in the house.
I'm talking about under 18?
Absolutely. That's an income. That's income in the household.
But how do you get, that right there lets your child not have no future if you got to spend on
But they are allowed to use the income in the household. Everyone's the family composition income in that household. Yes, they can.
I just wanted to recognize Legislator Silabino, who just came in. Thanks for being here.
I just want to say something, and maybe I'm not opposed to any guidelines or any stipulations or any ordinance of how things are supposed to go. You know, because if that's the way it's supposed to be, then that's how it's supposed to be. You know, so none of us can think that it's going to be anything different than the way the law is supposed to be. My biggest thing is, for the issues that we're having trouble with, or for things that we know is not supposed to be going on. You know, different.
Like what? Like, what are you referring to?
Whereas, okay, I have a whole apartment that's still being paid for and everything, but it shouldn't even have passed qualification. Like okay, my apartment 119. Section 8 came to, but what's his name? Peter Popov? I mean, not Peter Popov. His name is that, right?
Peter Popov is dead.
Yeah, something or whatever. But he came to the door and I just signed the thing and he didn't even give us inspection.
Do you have this section through 40 Main Street or 260 Clinton?
Through 40. And this is what I've just learned now. It's a whole different, we're all in Hempstead, but then y'all only open it up over here and then here's first.
I thought it was 40 minutes.
But make on for sure.
They're two total different jurisdictions.
No, this is what I'm saying. This is why, if I really go into it, like, okay, but here it is, a whole apartment that just got approved for Section 8 to pay again should have never been approved. You understand? So this is what, the only thing I'm saying right now is, okay, everybody in here does have their complaints and everything. But we do have to understand and realize that there is regulations, guidelines and everything. But how about when all of that is falling under it? Because right now I have an apartment, right? But then I know apartments on terrace that's trap houses and everything, and they still up and running. But yet my rent is being paid and everything, and I'm not I don't tear terrace down, I don't do anything. I'm just trying to make it and trying to live and and I'm confused.
I mean, if somebody at the Section 8 office is not abiding by the rules and coming to the illegal inspection, you need to be reporting that to the executive director over at Nassau County, over at 40 Main Street. There's an executive director.
That's why I'm here tonight. I'm not here to start problems. I hope everybody else is here to get understanding, and I hope everybody that also has their complaint understands too, where we have to also be the ones that know like this is our, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
You say something, the problem is that you say something, you're treated out of service. And that's the problem. If you say something, then they come in and it said, well, we're going to give you a citation and we're going to treat you. And I will say this. People in Hempstead, I love my community. I love our mayor. I love...
Yes!
You have my vote. I'm going to say this. When you go to certain people, they do try to help you. On the other hand, things fall through the cracks when we miscommunicate. And I hear what she's saying. She's saying that she has the Section 8 voucher, but when she tries to go, she might not want to leave Hempstead, or she might want to go other places and they don't want Section 8.
Oh, yeah.
So she want to go someplace and she can't take the voucher, and so they know that at Nassau County Section 8. Mm-hmm. So they should say, we're going to extend your voucher. But they don't say, we're going to do that, and they say, oh, well, too bad, you're going to go to Section 8. And it shouldn't be that way. But we know that time is winding down when the government want to get rid of Section 8. They don't want to help the poor anymore.
No.
They don't want to. So, like I said something, and somebody came to my house, and I said something, I made somebody mad, and so when they came to my house, they didn't treat me nicely. And I know they didn't mean to be that way, but I guess they felt like their boss said to them, go take it. And they were nice to me. After a while, the situation changed when we started communicating better with one another. And the situation changed. So it's how we communicate. And so I'm saying, I hear what she's trying to say. Mm-hmm. She was saying, I'm not trying to cause trouble. We're not trying to cause trouble for the building owners here. We're not trying to cause trouble for our neighbors. We all try. My mother said, you keep your yard clean. Next time they keep their yard clean, we'll have a clean neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And that's what we are trying to say. But things are happening, and we want to fix it.
That's right.
We love Hempstead. I think everybody here, we love Hempstead. But the bottom line is that things are falling apart. If we let it continue to fall apart, it's going to continue to fall apart. And I know, and let me say this one thing. If we fix was broken, it'll be better. And that's why we're here. Some people don't know their rights. Mm-hmm. Like he said some things about the rights, landlord-tenant rights, landlord rights, tenant rights. Some people don't know. Like my rent went up because of the fair market value. So even though we had zero rent increase, my rent went up because he went and got fair market value. So how is that fair to me? I got a rent increase.
Your building doesn't apply to rent stabilization.
Exactly. So some people they thought their rent wasn't going to go up, but some of us went up because we got an increase in our Social Security, and then it went up because he got an increase because of.
But that's because of the income. That's what happens. It goes by 30% of your monthly gross income. That's a HUD base.
Right, but even because it reached the fair market value, and then the tenants don't know that if we all got together and said, no, you don't deserve it for fair market. Had they known, and we all thought that, he might not have gotten it for fair market value.
And that's why we're all here now, so that we can collaborate and come together
Thank you.
as one, in order for us to, work along and collaborate with the owners of the said properties. That's what the mayor wants. He wants us to set up a meeting with the owners, with some of the tenants, because some of the owners own some of the several buildings here. I see some of the faces. So we want to try to set up a meeting with the tenants and the owners of the building, if the owners come out, or their representative, because some owners might not come out. Yes, ma'am?
I want to say that it's a sad thing that we have to sit here and have meetings like this. Not only in Hempstead, no, it is sad, because everybody has a right to have a roof, a safe roof over their head, affordable. This is a rich county. The world is rich. This is a rich county. Hempstead has a lot of money. This is a rich world, and God says that we're supposed to be helpers one of another. Now, if we truly turn around and help one another, this would not be such a large thing all over the world. It just would not be. And so, to those who do extend themselves to try to help, I applaud you.
That's everybody
I
here.
applaud you, and that's not an easy thing to do. I let you speak, please. And I understand your passion.
One at a time, please. Thank you.
But I understand that there are laws, so that we look at our legislators who put the laws together, and we need to communicate more with them to bring about a change for the better for everyone. So it takes a real team effort, not stabbing each other in the back, not talking about each other, but a real team effort. If we can come together, as they're saying, we can make a difference. Our voice will be heard. Not vandalizing, tearing down buildings, ripping up. No. A signature, put it in writing, means a lot. At 3 years old, I knew the power of a pen. At 3 years old, I had a diary and a journal. I speak the truth to you, and it's up to you what you want to do. We either going to work with them, or we're just going to keep walking out here complaining.
Yes, I said I want to hear one more question, but I have another.
Cream.
Listen, we had a problem, and I CC 6 people. I CC the mayor, Dr. Boothby, the manager where I live at, town hall. We have a problem where, I'm gonna use me. I don't owe rent, I pay my rent every month. But because of the back pay, it's like I didn't pay my rent. So we had this guy come around and tape on our door, everybody that owed rent, he taped it on the door, a sheet of booklet. I got a booklet from 2005 up until 2017, when I only owed that back pay.
Thank you.
He taped all your information on outside of your door, and even he put the paper on the floor. So I did a research. I went to town hall, I went to some other people and spoke to them. They said it was illegal. 2 weeks ago, he came by again, 8 o'clock at night, ringing my doorbell, giving me this booklet again. And I kind of like boiled them out, and I don't like to be ugly, but I kind of boiled them out because I said, you have no right to give me this. I don't owe anything. Is that legal for him to do that?
No.
But that's embarrassing.
What I'll do
Everybody's personal business
so
out.
tomorrow, again, we're gonna speak, but I'm gonna reach out to Eugene Schnur, who Movan is the owner of the said property there, and he also owns the young lady that was just here. And I'll speak to Eugene tomorrow about that. Okay, anyone else? Anyone else?
I want to throw something out that happened to me, a personal experience. I have fell short because of something that went on in my life with my rent. So I went to 40 Main Street to see if they was going to assist me. 40 Main Street said they was going to assist me because I got the 72-hour notice and all of that kind of stuff. So they really came in 72 hours. You know, I went to get the show course, papers, and all of that stuff. And when the officer came to my house, I was like, because the clerk of court said when they come, give them this paper to let you know you apply for the show course. So So I slid it under the door, and the officer was like, the judge didn't sign the fucking paper. Open the door, right? So I expressed that I had no clothes on. So they had a male open my door, so automatically I just closed the door. Okay, so that just went left. Okay.
72-hour notice?
Huh?
A 72-hour notice?
Yeah. And I had went for a show cause order.
An order to show cause?
Yeah, an order to show cause, which was granted.
Okay, wait a minute.
You know, so I got arrested that day. You know, I got out of jail. So then, you know, they give me a court date for, I believe, April 13th. So I'm getting dressed to go to court, so I get a knock on the door, and it's the sheriff again. Like, you're getting ready to get put out today, you know. So I had to call my lawyer. I can't go to court for this eviction from the last month because they're coming to put me out right now again. And the thing about it, what I don't understand is, what is the protocol when 40 Main Street tells management that, yeah, we're going to help this person? You know what I'm saying? How long is it before they let them know they're going to help me? And then, you know, I shouldn't have got assaulted by no police officers. I got pepper sprayed and everything. I'm on probation now because I tried to fight to keep my apartment because I thought I did the right thing by getting an order to show court. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you get a 72-hour notice first, and when they come, the sheriff's department come out, and they are, by law, they can put it on the door, and they send it to you certified mail and regular mail. The purpose of the certified mail is for their records down at 240 Old Country Road. So whoever came, I'm not sure about that, but once you get the 72-hour notice, that's when you go get the order to show cause. When you get the order to show cause, within 7 to 8 days, they give you a date to come back to court. Okay? Did you go back to court on that date that they told you to come back?
I got the order to show cause on February 6th. The sheriff came to put me out on February 7th. The judge has signed the order to show cause on February 7th. My court date was scheduled for February 22nd.
And the sheriffs came before that?
Yes, because they didn't actually get the, I guess.
But what happens is, when you get the order to show cause, when you're approved with the order to show cause, the tenant and landlord judge signs off on it, and then what you have the responsibility, and or the tenant has the responsibility to do, is to take that order to show cause to the owners, lawyers, okay, and to the Nassau County Sheriff's Department. Not you. You have to get a process server or someone else to go and serve the Sheriff's Department at 240 Old Country Road and the lawyers of the said owners of the property where you reside at. And then you have to write down, you know, was it a male, the height, the weight, the color, freckles, or, you know, whatever they were. If that was not served properly, then the Nassau County Sheriff's Department can come out and start, you know, eviction. So you got to see if it was properly served. Did someone serve it? Because you, by law, could not serve it because the 72-hour notice was
the court had me under the belief that they were serving.
No, they don't. By law, what happens is once it's approved, when someone goes to the Nassau County District Court at 99 on Main Street, you go to an order to show cause. They sign off on it by 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. They'll call you on the phone and let you know that you've been approved or granted by that particular judge that's on the bench at the time. You then, if you get approved, you have to go up there, get the papers, make the copies, 2 sets of them. They give you one to serve the Sheriff's Department, it says in red ink, Sheriff, and one for the lawyers, or the owners. Owners and the lawyers are the same people, because they collaborate together, but normally owners have a lawyer to come and represent them. You then have to get a process server to serve, go to that address, and hand deliver it to the secretary, to the lawyers, and to the Sheriff's Department at 240 Old Country Road. If that's not done, the Sheriff's Department can come out and start an eviction.
That's right.
Well, to my knowledge, it was on the judge's desk, he signed it, and I felt just the protocol of a police officer who's not only here to serve me, he might have been coming out to do his job, but when I told him I was undressed, he should have said, well, Ms. Shivers, take a minute and put some clothes on. But instead of doing that, first off, he put me on the defense when he said the judge didn't sign the fucking paper. That's coming from a police officer. You know what I'm saying? So then when to have another male just open your door while you're buck bone naked, you know, that was just totally disrespectful as a resident. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't even escalate. And the thing what I'm saying where the loophole was, because I went on the 6th of February, and it was the judge signed it on the 7th, but you're there on the 7th to put me out. And instead you said, well, let me call Ms. Shivers to see if they did whatever. It just went totally left, and I'm still in a rut, because now I'm on probation. You know, I'm looking to be sentenced. You know what I'm saying? And I thought that I was trying to be a considerate citizen, you know, a law-abiding citizen of Nassau County. You know, this is not the first disrespect.
So there's a couple different layers, obviously, to what was going on, TJ. I think the important thing that we should take from tonight is that, again, it's like really important that we know all the processes that we have to go through, right? Because sometimes we might think we're good and paperwork has been filed, but if we're not doing it exactly following every step, it ends up leaving us in a position where we're kind of open. So, you know, it stinks to go through something to learn a lesson, but that's something really important to remember, that we have to file the paperwork the right way. Joseph, you got a question?
I mean, if you have hit some hard times and you go to court so that you can stay in your home, they really expect you to then go to a process. So where are you going to get the money for the process? Because
You don't have to get a process, you can be a regular person. A regular person, anybody can do it. It just can't be the tenant. It just can't be the tenant. Anybody else can do it.
How does a person know? Do they explain that?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And they give you the instructions there. Yes, they do that on 99 Main Street.
They didn't do that to me, and I don't tell lies.
What is that 240 Old Country Road?
That's the sheriff's department.
Sheriff's Department.
That's one of the offices that
Thank
we
you.
have built.
And what is that 99 Main Street?
Nassau County District Court.
Thank you.
Question right here. What do we, instead of, is there anything else we can do in terms of the maintenance with the building? I mean, we put in complaints, they don't clean on the weekends, they don't even mop the floors every day, and we have high traffic in our buildings. And Mr. Lofton expanded on that in for our 251 Jackson Street building, because we're, you know, it's like, it seems like our complaints are going unheard. We lack of security. They're still selling, you know, drugs in the parking lot. We still, I mean, it's just so
Well, as far as the maintenance is concerned, that's, we have Joe Simone here, and as far as anything else, the police department is here.
You logical, but listen. Good evening, everybody. My name is Joe Simone with the Village of Hempstead Building Department. And if you have a complaint of any nature, feel free to give us a call. We'll come out and investigate. Listen, I'll give it to you afterwards, okay? So if you have any kind of complaint, give us a call. We'll either be able to help you or get you in the right direction. Either to Samantha or to whomever. All complaints are logged in on a computer system. So we know where they're going. So if Steve should go out on a call, and you call me up and say, hey Joe, I don't think Steve came out to 251 Jackson Street the other day, I'll go into the computer and see if he went and what he did. So there is a tracking system in place. So if you have a complaint, regardless of anything, housing, please give me a call. As for your particular maintenance,
yeah, because they have people who aren't there regularly, they don't, it's a language barrier still, because they replaced all the union workers at this point, so now they hire whomever. And now, but they don't, I shouldn't have to find human waste and I'm a pet owner. And someone will think, oh, it's a dog, and it's not. It's a person, and this is something that frequently happens, especially on the weekends, because there aren't anyone other than trash and.
So on the weekdays, there's someone at least patrolling the hallways, looking to clean, or there's a porter out there cleaning. On the weekends, there's no service at all.
There's none at all other than garbage, and so God forbid if somebody vomits or something, it'll remain there.
So Monday.
Yeah, pretty much, or and it's a consistent thing, and then we're and like I said, we have this security issue as well, but the thing is, even trying to communicate or at least let someone know, it's a gentleman there, very nice. However, we can't communicate because he doesn't speak, I don't speak Spanish, he doesn't speak English, and I can't, tell him, well, this such and such has happened, or can you come upstairs? And then they're like, they're pointing to their watch, or
He's just the maintenance man, he's not the super of the building?
No, and the thing is, sometimes, most of the time, you can't find them, and then if I, if you write anything, we'll get to it, and that's so unfair, especially, I'm on time in my rent, I'm, a good tenant, I do, I buy what I have to do, but in saying that, we have a high traffic floor where someone has a child business, daycare or whatever, and there's a lot of maintenance going, not maintenance, I'm sorry, a lot of high traffic on my particular floor. But the thing is, it's not their fault. If there was if it was just the tenants there, it would still be unkept. So that's 251 Jackson.
How about when we don't have no heat? There's a lot of times we don't have heat, and we don't have a number to call. They say call 311, and we don't get no help with that in our building.
$50 village extension 489-3400, and the prompt will get you to the building department.
On the weekends as well?
On the weekends, you have to call the fire dispatcher.
Okay.
So that's 489, and I believe it's on the website, 489-3400, extension 364 is the fire dispatcher. We have an inspector on call from 4 o'clock Friday to Monday morning.
Okay.
And also, just to let you know, that even walking out the door today, our door is broken coming out as far as this
Mr.
security.
Walken, I have that written down from Mr. Walken.
All right. Okay, my concern is, my main concern is with the fines issued by the building department to landlords. I've been bringing this attention to the village board for the last 10 years now. That the fines, what is the minimum fine and the maximum fine issued to the landlord?
I appreciate the question. I heard it the last time we were together. I talked to Paul Dell, he's our attorney elected by the people, and he wants you to know he's hearing you. His attitude is, well, I'm going to be the new sheriff in town. But to answer your question, it's $50 to $2,000 per charge. But consider, I'll take that. It's his discretion.
$50.
No, well, let me get this out. The $50 really is for people, for example, let's say an elderly woman doesn't clear her snow. She gets a fine. Well, we're going to give her a $2,000 fine, we give her the $50 fine. However, the landlords can go for $2,000. But let me finish. Now, what they're going to do in the court now is Paul Dell, our attorney, Miguel Alvarado, the assistant. They're tired of delaying, which is what the landlord's attorneys do. They're going to move to trial. Once they go to trial, they're going to go $2,000 per charge if it calls for that. And if they don't do it, then they're going to get an even stiffer penalty.
Well, that's my part. That's my issue.
Right.
So now we need you guys to start working on it. I need a commitment tonight to start working on this issue because we want 10, 15, $20,000 fine. Because most landlords are millionaires. Okay? Yes. And a $2,000 fine to a millionaire is peanuts.
Well, Mr. Seymour-Edwards,
so we need more fines.
The maximum fine to repeat is $2,000 per charge.
Now, I'm saying, can the village rewrite that code?
Now, presently, that's in place. Let's try this method. This method is we're going to trial instead of having delaying tactics that are presently being used.
But I'm saying, even if you go to trial and they get the maximum, which is $2,000, that's not enough.
Yeah, but you're missing the $2,000 per charge. Yeah.
Charge.
So let's just give this a shot and see if it'll work.
And I will come back to you again. If it doesn't work, in let's say it's 6 months or a year, we want you to, the village, to start upping these fines.
We want you to do that.
See, we want you to do that.
We want you to do that.
Okay, because we're talking for 10 years now, nothing changed.
Why did you say $50?
That's the low one.
But you also said a little low.
No. I just gave an example of where the $50 fine might be used.
Well, Mr. Mayor, for example.
Yes.
Why would you have the same, not use?
Yes.
Why would the same fines be put on a house that's on a building?
That's the fines that are available to the judge. And he has some flexibility, and it's designed for all cases to come before the judge. So he's not really limited. he can use the option, as he did today when I called him again to remind him about the meeting tonight. He mentioned the fact that there was a person who came before him, an older person, in trouble with snow. Well, it gets the minimum, it's $50. And the landlord, he's agreeing, he's got to get a little tougher and change. And one of the things he wants to now do is avoid what's happening, delay after delay after delay, move the drop. And with $2,000 for each fence, there's a possibility he'll get the attention.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah.
Can I say this too?
Yeah.
In this particular building, say for instance that offense happens, this is the 9th time the buildings come. They say, okay, now this is your 9th time. So, like, you know how you got a ticket, increments go up. So it's 2,000. If you come to me now, it's 20,000. You come to me, it should go up. So if you come to me one time, it's 2,000. Come to me again, it's 15,000. Come to me again, it's 25. It should go up in increments. If you come to you for the same thing, every time you have the fence, it shouldn't be like slapping this $2,000, 2,000, 2,000. If it happens 3 times, each time it should be a severe thing. It should be more money. That's what you should consider. Instead of 2,000.
I don't mean to cut you off, but we do have that ordinance.
He referenced that when I talked to him.
But implementation
is a good thing, and he says it's available to him.
But it has to be implemented.
Pardon?
It has to be implemented.
True.
Because I think like now, because if you have built, like what we're saying is like, I'm gonna say this too, like, because you mentioned something about snow. And I know one lady has like a lot of houses in the town, you know who I'm referencing to. And they wait, as soon as it snows, they go to her houses and they give her snow removal, for not removing her snow. And so, what time frame do you have to remove your snow? Like
12 hours after the snow stop.
Okay, because I mean, we got senior citizens too. Like you said, we have to look at that too.
But listen, the village is divided up into 5 sections, and each inspector is assigned to that section per se. So that's what they're out there knocking on doors, getting to know people. That if there is an elderly woman that's living alone, the inspector knows that. Follow me. Now we issue a violation letter. There's a little warning note. We're not going right to something.
That's not what I'm saying, but I'm not saying.
But I'm just saying. We're out there.
My favorite person. Oh, I'm gonna go soon. $12. I'm going to her and get all her houses.
I want to mention to everybody that Sergeant Ivory Dixon, the police department, is available as well. With us tonight. Because last time we were together, you mentioned you wanted building department, police department represented. I want to point out to both tonight. And I thank you all for coming.
Okay.
Yes, very good.
The apartment.
Yes.
And they're breaking some of these issues that are coming up tonight. What are the penalties for those people? They're already not paying taxes, and now they have all these issues in their buildings. How do we deal with that? I mean,
It's on an individual basis. Let's take 59600 as an example.
Mr.
Singh went and got a pilot. The theory was that it would keep the tennis rent lower. Then he turns around and charges for parking.
Right.
Then obviously the rent is up. Everybody's upset with it because the people don't park, they park in the neighborhood has no place to park, and it's a problem. Well, I took it to the rest of the trustees, the town of Hempstead IDA. We talked to them about it, we explained the issue, we put it in writing, they took it illegal. And they've come back and said there's nothing we can do.
You can't take a pilot? You can't take a pilot?
That's what we were asking for. We said the pilot is granted with this purpose in mind, this is a violation. And, they went to their attorneys, they researched it, they came back and told them that Singh is within his rights.
So after 3 years, don't you have 3 years to review it and say, you know what, we don't want you to do
We mentioned that all to them. It was a question they took to their legal. We've exhausted all of our legal remedies that I'm aware of, and we didn't prevail.
So long as 10 years, when 10 years comes, you're not going to give it a pilot, right? You got 10-year pilot.
Well, that's not ours. That was the town of Hempstead IDA pilot.
20 years?
So we have about 15 minutes left for the questions and answers. I want to give some people who haven't had a chance to ask yet.
Right here.
You know what problem Hempstead? It's the regardless of business or what, let them pay their way.
Make everybody else pay. Tell Singh that everybody else is going to pay. This is what we need to do, Mr. Mayor. Tell Singh, because of what he's doing, you know, we need to let that be known. Tell Singh, because of what he's doing,
everybody else is gonna pay because of what he's doing, and let him know.
And there are a couple of lawsuits.
Yeah,
You, I believe, are lead plaintiff, I am on another one. The argument that I had is when I go into online, let's say, where they list all of the reasons you can have a payment in lieu of taxes, a pilot, I see nothing that suggests that you can have an apartment complex. So there's a suit, it's ongoing, we lost at the first level. However, we did have a little success that we don't have to make this, since we have a pro bono attorney, into a $10,000 to $20,000 appeal process. We can appeal simply on what we have. So that option's available. Ultimately, it will be decided whether those pilots are legal or not. But it will not just impact parking lot 1 or the village. It is such that it would impact the entire county.
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, you have two questions here.
Yes.
And then your hands up for the loan, they have questions, so you can go.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ron Reed. I'm president of the Tenant Council of 400 Fulton. I'm a member of the NYCC. I've been for years. There's quite a few things, but I'm going to try to make it as quick as I can. One of the things is the idea that what happened with the tenants at 400, we are being neglected to a point where, first of all, there's our new super. I've been there since '05 when they opened the door. I was the first 20 that come in. And what has happened since then? We went through so many supers, and I've seen the mayors that come and go. And with all due respect, I have nothing against you, nothing like that. But the thing I'm saying is, what they do, you have a super that lives in the city, because he lives in Queens. The things that should be done in our building, like they have pipes that have been busted, been popped because they freeze, and it should not happen because, first of all, I know, and it's not something that I read somewhere because I did it for 9 years. So I respect any other man that's a super. But the thing of it is, when you neglect your job, you shouldn't be there. There's no reason, because you got people that are from, say, okay, so I just turned 75, that are 60 years old, and they're like 80 and 90 that live in that building, and they got to try to get around and stay warm. I have 3 heaters. There's some others that have 3 and 4 heaters. But the thing of it is, what the super failed to do is this. I've made the complaint that they're putting heat on a time clock. I don't care who you are, you cannot put a heating system on a time clock unless it's your private home. In your private home, you can do that because you want your kids to be warm when they come home, or your wife when you come home. But other than that, you can't do it for a building that has 9 floors or 5 floors. You can't do that. It doesn't work that way. You end up with somebody sick, they go to the hospital, they're dead, and you say, oh, I'm so sorry. No, you're not sorry. You meant to do it.
Put some heat on.
All they got to do is, when you turn the heat on October 1st to May 31st, leave it alone. Because the tenants, if they don't want the heat, they turn the thermostat off. That's all they have to do. They know that. But when you have the heat going off at 10 o'clock at night, and by 11 o'clock, the pipe done bust, and they're leaking from the 3rd floor down to, like what happened to me about 2 weeks ago. The man above me, he couldn't help it. Above him, the boiler was turned off, the pipe busted, and here come the water. All the way down to from the 5, 4, and 3. And it's not just me, there's more of them that's happening. And all he has to do is please leave it alone. Somebody tell him. See, that's right, call the building department. I know they're very busy. They will answer, they'll tell you that, if it's a private, because I've had that happen. Private building, you have to call, they see the landlord. Some of them, they say they don't do that. Okay, I'm not gonna get into what his job is, because they do answer. I also know about the fact that there's an inspector over at the fire department, right across the street from me. I'm aware of that. But what I'm saying is, there's other things that you're not doing, like I said, the elevators. You have people in there that are sick, and to the point where there's 2 elevators, the elevators are older than I am. And the thing of it is, all they have to do is shut one down and replace it. But I know they'll do that when I'm gone or dead and left there. They're not gonna do it now, because they're gonna let it keep going till they get somebody that's stuck in there, and they actually die in there, then they'll make a move to make a change.
Each elevator in the village is inspected twice a year, but by an elevator company, and they have to provide us with the report.
So in other words, what's been going on is just one of those things.
Listen, if an elevator company is going to put their name on their letterhead, on their stationery, and sign something that elevator meets all codes, we accept it.
Okay. So
twice a year.
So what happens to happen is,
if they don't give it to us, I don't mean to cut you off, we issue them a summons to come to the village court for failure to provide an elevator inspection report.
Okay.
Every weekend. Like I said, you
Out
on
there.
Fulton Avenue. I know Samantha's accompanied me, other trustees have been there as well. You explained a lot of the issues there. There are others. The community room where we met, I recall when I went in, you said, don't sit there, Don. It's infestated. So right off the bat, there's a bad taste.
Right.
The community room is often locked.
Oh, yeah.
Also, there's a restroom in the lobby.
That we can't use.
And it's very difficult for people my age,
like I said,
when we come
89.
into a lobby area, we need a restroom, we need a restroom.
That's right.
And to wait for an elevator to get to your room is not fair.
Right.
So I know that's another issue as well. You had mentioned to us about the security.
Right.
And you also had talked about the need for a generator, which we all agree. We've had dialogue and contact with the landlord. We thought we were getting some success, but apparently we're right back in the beginning stages again. So we have to go to the building department. We've got to write out the different violations. We got to get them in court and try the new method of seeing whether we can get his attention with fines, substantial fines. But I apologize that it's not better. I know I've been there with you a few times, and anytime you invite any of us, we always try to.
I appreciate that. You really do. You try your best. Make. I mean, because you're not just. It's not a matter of just saying just got to go to 400. You got other places to go too. But you do. Y'all show up. You know, I don't have no problem with that. It's just that me telling you that I'll do such and such, and you say, well, what happened to Reed? What are you doing? You know, is he sick or something wrong with it? But see, when I see these people that are in charge doing certain things that should be done. Okay, it's not up to me. Some people say, well, the best thing you can do, no, call the news. I really don't want to be bothered with all that. But I look at it this way. If I speak to those that are in charge, and they say, yeah, we'll take care of it, and you don't take care of it, that won't be long. You will hear from me again. But see, they used to call me the man with the pen. Yeah, the pen and a piece of paper. I'll write it up, and I'll write it up and send it to the right person. But it's not about doing that, though. I don't like doing that.
But you do a good job representing the tenants, and we appreciate you.
So how do we get a new super that knows how to do things?
So, I think some of these questions are organizing questions too. Like the people in the buildings, we need to start having meetings in your building and talking with the other tenants in your building and figuring out if you don't want your super there, how you can flex your muscle to get your super out of there. You know, how you can put pressure on your landlord. Because you guys have a lot of power. There's a huge amount of power in this room. But in your buildings, like, you have a say. This is your home.
Well, who's going to listen to us, though?
So the more that you guys are getting together and talking and learning who to go to with the issues that you have and learning, like, what you can do working together, I think we're going to be in a great spot. I just wanted to recognize Trustee Johnson, who kind of snuck in after we started.
Okay.
A few questions over here.
I want to tell Joe Simone something. Joe, do you realize the elevator, there's 2 elevators at 400 Fulton, which you're aware of, every week.
Yes, every weekend.
Every week
Again.
of the year. One of the elevators doesn't work. It takes 3 days for the man to come to fix it. So the office in Great Neck should
Get a new
really put at least 1 new elevator.
What I will do is I'll pull the elevator inspection report and I'll call the company and I'll ask them.
I'll make this.
They'll tell you they have to come every week of the year.
Well, I'll ask them if they feel that it has to be replaced, and if that's the case, then they should provide me with
That's what one of the repairmen said to me. She said it needs to be replaced.
But if they say it needs to be replaced, you would tell Great Neck.
That would be helpful.
Thank you
Let's
very
let
much.
this lady back here has been extremely patient. So
I need to know. Oh, go ahead, sweetie. You can go.
You have to raise your hand one day.
One, we have
I'm
to,
sorry.
when it snows, we have to plow out our own parking spot. Because when he sends, Dorchester sends a guy in there, it's one of his workers with a plow that does nothing. He goes around and that's it. And then we have to plow out our spot.
The owner of the multiple dwelling is responsible to clear all driveways, sidewalks, parking areas.
And another one is they closed the garbage rooms, so now we gotta take our garbage outside around, between 621 and 599, and people are throwing the damn crap out the window.
They can close the garbage rooms. They can. But that might be a reduction of services if there was a garbage chute, something along those lines. But no, you just can't throw your garbage out the window either. That would be obviously a violation.
Remember years ago when Metz was there, we had a super in 599, 621, and Henderson. Now we got one super that's a fly-by-night that does 10 buildings.
So you have no super that resides on the complex?
Oh, he's there, but he's not, he only
He
comes
doesn't
at night.
reside there? And there's no placard or notification that the super, it's there, but it's not right?
Yeah, we have the same thing.
Okay, one, two.
Just let me say this and I'm finished.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is for Mayor Ryan. You may not have influence over the town of Hempstead IDA with respect to the pilots,
Yes.
but you do have an influence over the members that you handpick, that every time we have a meeting, a hearing, they say yes to the pilot, no matter what.
Pilot
So
situation.
you do have influence.
The pilot situation is in the town of Hempstead, not the county, but the town of Hempstead. If there's going to be a pilot, they do ask for a letter from the mayor. They're saying that they're in support of the pilot. My argument with pilots is I'm against the pilots for apartment complexes that are going to give us additional individuals and students when we have an overcrowded school and we don't have water and sewer capabilities. And I have voted against that. That's why the 14 parking lots that want apartments on each one do not have any at this point. Now, I agree with other pilots. If they create or save jobs, the answer is yes. So FDR, that has 250 jobs, the commercial laundry, who was going to move out of town to Suffolk County, I supported it.
Let him move.
I don't agree with you. I do not agree with you. I do not agree with you. They have 250 people there that are working. Why would I want them to move and have an empty building? I don't agree. There's also Dell Plus Company. They wanted to enlarge and increase the number of employees. Or they were going to go to Oyster Bay or wherever it was, Levittown.
Let them move.
And I don't agree with that.
Because they wouldn't get a pilot.
I don't agree with that. I agree with the purpose of a pilot that saves or creates jobs for our village residents. I'm not talking about building apartment buildings that increase the population. The original plan was for 10,000 more people and a parking complex in each of the parking lots. I'm opposed to that. I have not written a letter in support of that. But when it comes to creating jobs, when it comes to FDR saving jobs, they'll get a letter of support from our body because we don't want to lose people who have employment opportunities. The idea of let them move sounds easy with somebody else. If it's you have to think about that a second time.
Excuse me, I live here, and I own a home, okay? And when they don't pay their share, I have to pay it.
But
And
you
so
have
where
to
the other
understand
home?
that it's 250 people who
Tell the
have
4
no
people
jobs.
that you
It's not helping
picked
your
to
town.
say no, period.
No, I don't agree with that. No, ma'am, I don't agree with you.
I would like to say, ask something. I live at 260 Clinton.
Excuse me. What I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna call the senator, because I'm not going through this anymore.
Outside, we're the
They're
worst
gonna keep the super,
building
play games with it.
in Nassau
So
County.
what I'm gonna do,
In Hempstead and
I'm gonna
around.
get the right information I need, I'm gonna take it to the senator,
It's
our
dirty,
senator
it need to be
for Hempstead.
cleaned. We look bad. And when
I've
I
had enough
called
of it.
before to a missionary, they told me I had to be asked.
You
said the senator?
Yeah.
And I said, no, and I said, that's not the way it's supposed to be.
It's Nassau
I
County.
want to know.
Oh, Nassau County? Right.
How will we get our the name of it?
Yeah.
What's his name? We look terrible.
Oh,
Inside and inside and out. Oh, yes. And paying the senior citizen, and paying is too high rent. I'm paying
Rosemary
almost
Olson.
$1,000 for just one bedroom. That's not right.
Rosemary Olson's in charge. She actually has her own board. Rosemary Olson. And they have their own board. And the board can be attended by anybody who wants, and you have 2 tenant representatives on that board. So you do have some impact in that regard. I can certainly call and support. But you do have 2 tenant representatives that you elect.
But every time you go to Rosemary, either she's in a meeting, or she's not coming in. And that is not right.
But that would not be right. If you, yeah, but We'll add that to the list of calls. Rosemary Olson is the director of that facility.
Yeah, but when I asked about, you was getting there, and they come to buildings on that place.
Yeah.
And they, them come out, oh, we ain't come to this building, because this and that, and they didn't want them to come in the election conference. We need to show. And Rosemary, I'll be honest and say, when she comes before her, she comes before she throw about your cup. She throws it up, she like this and say, oh, no, I get in touch. I do this, not that. And I've been there every night. And so she's been out of the area. And what we ask her about, she'll say one thing.
I should mention by coincidence that today the HUD turned in a report on 260 Clinton Street regarding their evaluation of the facility, including management and the physical plant. Now, I just got it. I'll read it and see what we can do in terms of that report and turn it into something which will have some progress for you.
So, we have one more component for our town hall. I want to take this lady's question. She's been very patient. And then we're going to wrap up, but at the end, we're going to end probably at 7:45 because we have to be out of here by 8. But if anyone has further questions for Joe Simone, he's willing to answer questions. If anyone has questions for the police, Sergeant Dixon, he's more than willing, and I'm sure the mayor will answer questions and the trustees will answer questions. And Samantha, as we're leaving. So,
and what time is it, what day is it?
So, hold on one second. So,
the lady from 260, I live there too. I've been there 9 years. Painting. My apartment ain't been painted when I moved in, and it still ain't been painted. And I don't care what we say to Rosemary. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. You don't have to generate it. Ain't nothing getting done there. They just ain't doing nothing but bringing people in. And everybody stated it's running all over the building. There's about 9,000 kids there, and I thought it was a senior building. It is a senior building.
So the mayor said he's going to follow up on that. So
I know City Councilman Dorothy Gooseby contacted us as well for improvement in your kitchen area, so that you would have a better facility. I'll make that possible. Well, that's the thing that was being dramatized by our city councilwoman, and there is progress in that direction. There will be, but I agree with you. That was probably too long a period of time.
So, I know people still have questions. This is not going to be the last tenant town hall we're going to have. We'll probably do this in another month or a little more than a month. We want to keep coming out, and we want to really make it solutions oriented. So I hope you feel like you walked out of here with a little bit more knowledge and a little more guidance than you had.
But is it true that, I'm listening to this lady here, excuse me, this lady here. If those tenants get together and put a petition out and complain, they will have to make a move. Why? And they won't make a move? Then take it to court then.
I live in a family unit next to 260, and it's the same complaint she had, it's the same complaint I had. That's why I came here tonight, and I pay my rent. And my rent goes up, and I still pay my rent. And I have repairs that need to be done. We have a family unit, and we have no income.
I would make a recommendation. If the Rosemary Olson path is not getting you what you want, Adrena Wyatt is a chairlady in charge of the unit.
They coming, I ain't seen nobody yet.
You know, you come to my office,
okay. So,
please shut it down. I want to say one thing.
two of those are sold to the residents, Cotton and 260. The rest are actually sold as the buyers. It's at the discretion of the board, and we'll try to follow with people with more sensitive units.
So, we are actually having another town hall later this month, the 13th. at 250 Fulton Avenue in the United Healthcare office. 12, I'm sorry. So you're all invited on the 12th. It's going to deal with criminal justice, which is related to housing, because anyone that knows that if you get any types of subsidized housing and you have issues with the criminal justice system, you lose your benefits, you find difficulty finding housing. So we have someone named Prince that's going to come up and give a little commercial for the town hall next month, and then we can kind of close up, and if people have further questions, we can talk. But let Prince give his announcement.
I would like to make a statement.
Okay.
Because you had said you wanted to have action-oriented, have to have solutions to this, and all I hear is the same old complaints and the same old solutions that are not solutions. When the mayor says that he's talked to the judge and the judge is going to give better penalties, that's not enough. The laws are inadequate, totally inadequate. They have to be taken out of general penalty.
New laws coming.
New laws. There have to be totally different laws. And each administration for 20 years, I've been to these meetings for 20 years, and it's the same old story. There has to be a total revolution in how to deal with tenants and landlord problems. And it has to start now. All of the stuff about talking to the judge is not good enough. It's not good enough. What if the judge doesn't get elected and a different judge comes in?
Exactly.
It has to be written to have a minimum penalty of $50 when you don't have heat for 200 or 300 people. That is insane. And $2,000 is not enough either. It should be $10,000 or $15,000. These laws need to be changed, and then you will get some action. But it's up to the village board, and it's up to you to put the pressure on the village board.
People here got to put pressure on the board to get action.
All right, everyone, just if you could give Prince our attention for 5 more minutes, and then we'll wrap up. And then, like I said, we have a few of the officials will be here to answer specific questions if you want to talk to them further. But we only have the room till 8 o'clock. It's a hard rule, so we're trying to wrap up a little early. So if people want to speak to Mr. Simone, to the police. So, Prince, take it away.
Good evening, community. My name is Prince Sean. I'm a resident of Hempstead. Does everyone have this book here? This book is called The Tenants' Rights Guide. It's published by the New York State Attorney General. Each and every one of y'all need to have this. All right? You can get these from 200 Old Country Road from the Attorney General office. But you need to have this because information is power.
We have some in the village.
And information is power. But I'm here today to share with y'all a campaign that I'm a part of. First, let me explain to y'all who I am. My name is Prince Nashon. I am from Network Support Service Incorporated. And I am also a member of the Just Leadership USA, and I'm a leader of the Free New York campaign. I'm here tonight to give y'all a summary of our campaign, in which we're going to hold a town hall meeting at 250 Fulton Avenue on February the 12th of this month, all right, this year. The issues that we're going to be talking about is criminal justice reform, all right, that affects all of us as a community. We have reported that there are individuals who are innocent in these county jails, in Nassau County Jail, who are being held without bail or a bail that's unreasonable in which they cannot afford, and they are forced to wait for long periods of time before they see a judge. But it's all designed to get that individual to plead guilty. All right? Now, these individuals, it could be any one of us. In fact, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I served 25 years to life for nothing, a crime I didn't commit. And I'm fighting this case right now. I have a hearing scheduled for February 27th. However, bail, I was denied. The right to disclosure of evidence, I was deprived of evidence in order for me to prepare a defense. This can happen to you. This can happen to your sons, your daughters. All right? Free New York. The young lady talking about taking a radical approach to bring about change. That's what it's about. Free New York is here for you. All right? We started here in Nassau County. We started January 24th with our campaign, and we'll continue to move forward. And we need y'all help to take back our communities. All right? And we can do it. We got to stick together. We got to communicate. We got to share information. Each and every one of y'all should have this. This is the instructions to protect y'all rights from slumlords. With information, you can empower yourself and you know what to do. All right? I hear a lot of grievances in this room. Fine. All right? You have a First Amendment right to petition the court for a redress of your grievance. Don't get discouraged and say, oh, it's not going to work. You got to keep fighting, keep pressing forward. But you can't do it if you don't know. Ignorance is our downfall. So we have to continue to conduct these meetings. Share information. Everyone should have this. Mayor, can you make sure that every tenant gets this?
And I would like to underline a couple of things you said. I have been experienced in supporting people in our community when they go before law enforcement, and I see an inequity that's so obvious. Many of our young people cannot afford the bail. Non-violent crime, they're sent to the jail. They're given an attorney. The attorney sometimes is young, inexperienced, and non-threatening. They sit there. Cases are postponed. They go before they go before a judge with different legal representation, and then at some point, several months later, they come to them and say, how would you like to go home? All they hear is home. They end up pleading guilty to the charge, given time served, and they leave. But now the downward spiral begins because they have a record, can never enter a courtroom again, and tell that judge that I've never had contact with the legal system. The whole mood changes when they say they have. And it is unfair. No bail for nonviolent crimes would be the ideal way to go. You want to change the complexion of the court system? You tell the people who can't afford their own lawyer, pick a lawyer, we'll pay. Those who can afford a lawyer of their choice, you can't, we'll assign one. Those who can afford bail, remand them. Those who can't, send them home. Trying to make a decision in court, in jail rather, under that stress is very difficult. If you're at home with the love of your family and the best legal advice, the choices you make are, of course, a lot better. Consequently, we have what we have now. A lot of recidivism, a lot of problems, a lot of unfairness. And you don't pay your debt to society. You come back out and you have to pay your debt to civil service. They won't give you a job opportunity. They'll tell you you had a problem. But you served your time. They'll make you serve it again. And you can't get a job. And then what do? You find other ways of employment, and the whole cycle continues. It is unfair, and I would applaud and hope that that can be changed. There is an effort afoot to do just that. Nonviolent crimes, no bail. I would concur.
Free New York! Free New York! Free New York! Free New York!